It's the Church Solutions podcast starring Michael Grace, Steve Lacy, and Phil Thompson.
Yes,
Starring.
it
Yeah,
is.
right.
I changed up my intro and everybody
I
froze
love
up.
it. It's
Yeah.
great.
I almost called Steve Lacy Steve Young, the quarterback.
Steve Young, yeah,
I
he's
almost
that
called him
lefty quarterback that played for some team. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So welcome, folks. Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us. This is episode number 383. And we are a company that does streaming video and a lot of other things because we've been serving churches exclusively for over 20 years now. And we talk a lot about a lot of different topics, not just tech stuff, but other things. Today, we're going to talk about streaming video, though. So, and how to keep your dog from barking on the podcast. But was that your dog or was that somebody else? Sorry. But
No, that was my wife, but thanks for asking.
All right, never mind. It sounded like a dog barking. Was that? I'm sorry. I really apologize.
She answered the phone.
I didn't
Hello?
mean to imply.
Hello?
I mean,
Sure,
your wife's a very
sure.
attractive lady. I didn't mean to
Went
imply that
running
she
from
was
the
a dog.
room.
All right. All right. So we're off to a great start here. So a couple of things to tell you about before we're going to talk about ways that you can keep and increase your online viewers for streaming video. This is an interesting topic. Before we do that, I want to remind people that we do lots of things. And one of those this year has been webinars, generally around 30 minutes long. They're free webinars. We do them every month about different topics designed to really help you as a church leader, as a church volunteer. Today is May 16th, and so you probably won't hear this podcast, but we're actually doing a podcast or a webinar coming up a little bit later today, live with a guy from vMix, Heath Barker, and we're going to talk about software encoders, and not just vMix, but other encoders and kind of the pros and cons. And so, if you want to hear that, you probably won't get to it in time here, but you can always go to streamingchurch.tv/webinar, and you can see our past webinars and sign up for new ones that will be coming up as well, right?
Yeah, or you can sign up for the new one.
Sign up for
By
the
the
new
time
one.
they're
Yeah,
listening to this one, we covered software encoders. We're going to cover hardware encoders next time. So why choose a hardware encoder for your ministry?
Absolutely. And so people can sign up by going to webinar.streamingchurch.tv. I got it right, didn't I?
That's it.
You did.
Good. Hey, there you go. I'm actually did something right today. All right, so guys, let's move on here. So if you want to go to our blog, we've got some notes here, blog.streamingchurch.tv, and you can read along here. Although Steve read the blog, didn't like it, and added a bunch of things in the notes today. And so we'll bring some extra stuff in today.
Yeah, we'll need to update the blog.
You only what?
We'll need to update the blog. I read the
you updated
the notes for this.
All right, yeah. So it wasn't good enough for him, but maybe we'll get something out of the stuff that he added today. I'm being facetious here. I am kidding, Steve. Kind of. I'm not that passive aggressive, or am I? All right. So what are we going to talk about? We're talking about ways to keep and increase your online viewers. So let's just jump into this. We know the pandemic is, I guess, officially over, although there are some people that are concerned about meeting in public and meeting different places. But it's good to always take what you've got, and if you're doing streaming video, and develop it and make it better. So let's just jump into it. Let's talk about the first point. Mr. Lacy?
Invest in quality equipment is the number one point.
Invest in quality equipment. Don't sound so enthusiastic about it. You should say invest in quality equipment.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? You mean I should get a different camera? You mean I should get a better computer?
Well, I think the product you put forward should be good, and people should have not complain about the quality of the experience online. And so part of that is getting decent equipment to decent camera, decent sound system, so that you're not struggling with lower quality issues, because people will abandon and not come back if they felt like it wasn't a good experience.
Well, and yes, I'll jump in here before Mike says something, but It's also on the other end too. If you're volunteers or even people that you're paying to help you do streaming video, if you have really cheap equipment or equipment that's not very good, it's very frustrating for the person that's using it too, and that can cause other problems. And so it's a win-win situation when you can get the best equipment that your budget allows. Michael, any input on this?
Yeah, I go to the real power of a great presentation is that your people who attend your church like it enough that they're willing to share it with somebody else. If you have a pretty janky presentation and a lot of issues, the people that attend your church are going, hey, I'm not going to share that with my friends. That's embarrassing to me, and I don't want to be embarrassed by what's being presented on the live stream. It doesn't have to be $1 million production quality. You can do single camera, super simple, even a fixed camera on a presentation and have a really great streaming experience by keeping it simple and raising quality where you can. But you got to build trust, get people to really be willing to say, hey, I'm going to invite my friends and family and my loved ones.
That's a very good point. Nothing more frustrating than just bad quality video, bad audio. Very frustrating, and nobody wants to share something like that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, good point. All right, shall we move on? So we definitely want to invest in quality equipment. And, I'll just say this, I say this all the time, start with what you got, but, have goals in mind to better it, make it better.
More betterer.
Make it more better as time goes on. I always say, there's somebody said this sometime, despise not small beginnings. And so, you could start where you're at, but you can look forward to moving up. So I would start. I wouldn't wait to get the best, greatest thing in the world, but you could at least start and then work your way up as God blesses. All right, let's move on here to number 2 in our little podcast here. Choose a user-friendly platform. Choose a user-friendly platform. What do we mean by that?
I think this ties right into exactly what we were saying before, is that you just want to have a good experience. So you want to have some of the things that Mike talked about as well. You want choose an easy experience, a user-friendly experience for those that are viewing online. You don't want to you want to make sure, as we also recommend, that you can find that live stream button on your church website. So most of the time you're sending somebody, go to, my church XYZ and click on the live stream. And if they can't find the live stream on the website, or when they get to the live stream, they don't understand how it works or what to do, then you're going to have some problems.
Yep. If your grandma can't do it, it's not easy enough. That's got to be the measure. If grandma can't go to a page and click it and watch your stream, then it's not simple enough for everyone that's going to come to the platform.
Yeah, and I would add too that the things that you have on your platform, and we're talking about from our point of view here, because we do have a streamingchurch.tv video chat platform that enables people, admins and church people, to put links on there to give online. You can easily, donate online. You can easily post a prayer request in private. There's other things you can do to customize it so that it's a great experience for people that are watching it and enhances what they're trying to do. Bible verses, notes, those kind of things. That to me makes a really good user-friendly platform that is not just video. Look, I understand people just want video, but you want something that's interactive too, because people are looking to connect and have relationship, even though they're online. So I would certainly emphasize that. What are the points we want to bring up before we move on here when it comes to a platform? Anything else we want to say or elaborate on this important thing?
keep it possible. I mean, beyond that,
Keep it what? Keep it what? I didn't hear you.
keep it as simple as
Okay,
possible.
yeah. KISS, KISS, right? Is that what that means? All right. Okay, let's move on here since I can see the anxiety in Steve's face. Let's talk about.
I'm wanting to get to the good part.
I'm by the way, since we're talking about platform here, so do we want to talk about AI or just
Well, I
move
think
on?
that's, and I got a couple of bullet points ahead. We'll talk about the
Oh,
AI.
okay. All right. Mike shaking his head.
So-
All right. All right. So we'll get to that later, folks. That's stay tuned. All right. So let's talk about, you want to choose a user-friendly platform. Let's talk about promoting your stream. That's another way to enhance and keep your viewers promoting your stream. How do you do that?
So I think number one is people that are leading the service is they're engaging or they're addressing the online audience. So that's the number one thing, is to promote your stream. I think because people that are in church, they'll go, oh yeah, we're streaming this thing. And then if you have several references from the pastor talking to the online audience or the worship leader talking to the online audience, it just reinforces with those in the building that they do online streaming. And then promoting your stream beyond that is, the normal things. You promote everything within your church, right? Go through social media, your newsletters, your announcements, your whatever.
Yeah,
I think most churches are very much like some old married gentlemen, and they like to say, hey, I told her when we got married that I love her, and if I change my mind, I'll let her know. So we kind of say as a church, hey, we launched that church online thing, and we told everybody about it one weekend, and that's a launch. That's not how humans work. If you're not saying once every couple weeks, once a month, hey, the easiest way to invite your friends and loved ones to church is church online, because they don't even have to get out of the house or put clothes on. They can watch church online, and it's a simple, easy invite, and you just got to continue to hit that thing.
Yeah.
If your ears aren't bleeding from somebody saying something about inviting to church online, you're not doing it enough.
Yeah. I think it needs to be within the staff of the church, a central kind of thing, not just a thing that's kind of hanging out on the side that we do. But I think it's got to be, kind of a central thing, so that in discussions, people are talking about, well, how would that affect the online stream? Or, as they promote stuff, it's all, and we have our online stream. It just needs to be second nature that, this is a focus of the church in everything they do.
Yeah, I was when
Sorry,
I was in
go.
radio. I'm sorry. When I was in radio, we would play music, and we'd play the same song, usually multiple times a day, if depending on the format I was in. And by the time we got sick of hearing the song as disc jockeys, is about the time people are like, hey, I like that song. What was that song again? Well, I've only been playing it 5 times a day for the last 6 weeks.
How did you not hear that by now? Yeah.
And same with commercials. You probably wonder, TV or radio, whatever. Why do I keep hearing this? I'm Bob Window or whatever his name is, and Windows, and all these commercials for Windows. And it's like, well, by the time you get sick of it as a programmer, that's about the time people that are watching the TV and seeing the commercials go, yeah, we really could. After 2 or 3 months of this, we probably should upgrade our windows here in our house, and so that's kind of what we're getting at here. I would talk about it every Sunday, at least mention it every Sunday, from the pulpit, as well as we just said, Steve just said, everything that you print, every material that you have, you should say something about church online, streaming video, and all that stuff. So yeah,
absolutely.
All right. So let's move on here, shall we? So we beat that thing.
So engage your audience.
Yeah, you kind of alluded to this earlier with the pastor mentioning to people, mentioning to the online. So what you were saying here, I'm having a terrible day today, in case you haven't noticed. So the pastor not only addressing his people in the church, but also addressing the online audience. And you alluded to that earlier, Steve. So that's part of the engaging the audience. What's the other part?
Well, I mean, as far as the church engaging the audience, that's one way. The other way is those that are attending online, you need to engage with those that are attending online. So that's primarily the number one tool for that is your chat room. So you want to have a web host that is welcoming people and saying, "Hey, Mary, good to see you. Glad you're back. And how's the baby?" Or whatever it may be. Just like you do at church when people show up at church, the paid staff or even the people in the congregation will engage with each other. So setting up an environment where it's very engaging online in the chat room and having a very active web host to engage with people is a key element.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other ways that we can engage with people online?
Well, we can talk about our AI thing here, right? Because we just introduced a new feature that leverages the ChatGPT OpenAI architecture. We've got an AI web host that you can employ for your church if you're streaming with streamingchurch.tv.
Should we do a podcast completely on this sometime in the future, or should we? Yeah,
Oh,
Mike's saying yes. We should probably.
Yeah, we probably should.
So we spark people's attention with that comment, AI in the chat. So I guess if anybody wants to know more about that, you could just reach out to us at streamingchurch.tv. We'd be happy to explain it to you. And but you can, it's on anybody that has an account with us that does streaming video, you have access to it.
We haven't marketed it yet, so that will be coming. So there's nothing on the website. There's just a minor checkbox on your admin panel under your chat options. So
nice.
So, all right. Okay. So engage your audience, engage them, and offer prayer for these people. Getting back to the chat and engaging people, offer prayer to them. Give them opportunities to talk. Lots of opportunities to engage, right, Michael?
Yep, absolutely. Asking questions, trying to draw engagement. I used to always begin and then repeatedly through the service say, "Hey, church online is different. This is where it's okay to talk in church." And so if you have a question or the pastor says something that sparks a thought, let's talk about it. Let's engage in chat, prayer, whatever it may be in the process of being in church online.
Yeah. And there's ways that a good web host, a trained web host, sets up open-ended questions for the people they're engaging with. It's more than just a yes or no answer kind of thing. They're very talented at drawing out responses from people that gets people talking, which gets more people talking. So
a good small group leader can do that as well. Just incorporate those skills and talents to that. Ask questions that will get people involved. So very good. All right, so let's go on to the next point here as we talk about enhancing and keeping our viewers online. Follow up with your visitors. Follow up with your online visitors. Are there any tricks to doing this?
I think just like the people that take the time to show up in your church and they fill out a connection card and or whatever you may call it, churches will follow up with people, first-time visitors, welcome them, maybe give them a special gift, whatever that sort of thing is. We need to treat this online audience in the same manner. So keep track of who's showing up and who's showing up for the first time and have special things for the first-time guest. Have some ability to follow up with those that are, and know who's coming back. And then especially for those that come and don't return, that's a key thing. And again, shameless self-plug, we have our automated follow-up system with our online platform that will do that follow-up for you. It allows you to draft what you want to say to each person that in each scenario, whether they're the first time or they're a second timer or they came and never came back. It will send them an email saying, "Hey, thanks for being with us. We're glad you came back."
Absolutely.
Or whatever it may be. So then they're like, "Oh, wow. I wasn't just hiding in the shadows of that online service. I was recognized." And And people did care that I was there, and people do care that I do come back.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, good. Optimize your services for online experiences. That's our next point. Optimize. This is something you stuck in here, right? Did you stick this in here?
It is. And I want to mention there's 3 books out there that people have recently published that is all around this whole topic. One is the Nona Jones, the moving from social media to social ministry. She has some ideas in there and recommendations for church. There's Jason Moore's Both And, which says, should we be doing both live in-person services and online? And he says, yep, we should do both and. And then Meta Church from, who wrote Meta Church? Does Micah know?
I'm blinking.
I'm blanking too.
Yep.
I read it.
Yep, me too.
But I can't remember that.
Yeah.
So all 3 of these books, they share some tenets in all 3 of them. That one of them is optimizing your service for an online experience. And they point out that the attention span and the distractions for those attending online is very limited, and they have lots of distractions. It's very easy to get up and walk away from the stream, where it's really tough to walk out in the middle of, pastor's second point in service. You're trapped a little bit, but online you've got a very different audience. And so you should shorten your experience or set your experience so it's optimized for those online guys. So in all 3 of these books, they talk about attention. The sweet spot is around 30 minutes. And optimizing your online experience to be 30 minutes. And Jason Moore and Nona Jones, I know both have some tips and tricks. With Jason Moore's book, he gives you 3 different options for approaching that. Either start your broadcast midway through your service, or pre-record, or post-publish, after you do your services.
Yeah.
But the idea is to create something that's optimal for that online experience for people. And it's typically, the shorter version of the service. And they said, they talk about the worship experience being different in person versus online. And typically what ends up on the cutting room floor is some of your worship set. So, because people aren't raising their hands and worshiping like as they do at home as they would in church. So
that's quite a change, though,
controversial.
Right? Yeah. About the making these switches.
Yeah, well, I mean,
for dropping.
Yeah, if I'm at a church and we're running 1.5-hour services, the thought of 30-minute service is pretty far from where we're at.
Yeah, it is. I think I foresee churches taking their advice and succeeding with this, and I'm sure it's already going, in place. So, and the other thing that I want to mention along this optimize your services for the online experience is set your services to times when people can attend easily. So again, shameless plug, in our world, you can set up a simulated live service. If Tuesday evenings, when most people are free to do church online, set up a Tuesday evening service.
Yep.
And
I'm sorry, Steve.
Go ahead.
It just popped to mind. I think you might remember this. We discussed, it's been years ago, with our Stephen, my pastor. We talked about doing an after the late service, a service called Just the Talk. And it was going to be 30 minutes and announcements, and the pastor just starts delivering the sermon. So it was going to be, and this is for a live audience. It was just an idea that we really wrestled with for a while. But in an online environment, why not? In a simulated live tool like Steve was mentioning, where you can clip it down to what you want it to be and play it like a live service and experience a live service that's 30 minutes or less. Try it out, see what happens.
Yeah,
Well,
it's easy
absolutely.
to do. There's very little restrictions.
Other than change. That's the hardest thing for people to do is
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, I think that, one of the key points is people don't, the mindset right now is we're having church service and there's a camera there and it's recording it. Whereas if you look at a football game, the focus of a football game, people in the stadium is, I'm out there and I'm watching the game, and there's cameras here and I see them, but the central experience is there in person. But the broadcasters have completely optimized that football game for the online experience. So you do things a little differently.
Yep.
I mean, you don't have, 2 minutes of downtime while they're carting somebody off the field or something. You have something for the online audience that's going to keep them engaged and bought
Yep.
in. So you can do the
Yeah,
same thing with your church service too, if you think about it.
Yep. Challenge your staff, get together and watch the recording of your online service regularly. And get in a room all together, watch it together as a team, and see if you notice some things that maybe could be improved, where you're optimizing. I've seen people do lower thirds for the slides in Church Online, and it's so small that I can't read it, and I'm like, wow, I wonder if anybody ever actually watches this to see what they're putting out there for people.
Yeah.
All
Or
right.
identify those moments when their online audience just went to the fridge to get a drink because this thing was, because nothing was going on. We were shuffling musicians off the stage and, just some down moment.
All right.
Yep.
Guys, we're running out of time here.
Oh no.
So I know, right? Ooh. So take it here. Where are we going next? I mean, we got 2 or 3 more points here. Where do you want to go with this?
Well, I think we kind of hit on the next one about providing quality content. We talked about that, I think, in a couple of the points that we've done so far.
Okay. All right.
And the next one after that's kind of related. Let's jump down to analyze your data.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be a good one. That's an important one as well. Analyze your data, analyze your data. But what do you mean analyze it? Tell me what I need to do to make that happen.
Well, I think this ties into what I was talking about earlier, is looking to see, I mean, the broadcast industry has this down to an art. They have a whole company, Nielsen, that goes out and tries to figure out what people are watching, what they're walking away from, that sort of thing. So you can look at the data that you have for your people online, find out how long people average online attendance. How long do they attend online? Do people sit through the whole service? Do you have 95% of people sit through the whole service, or is it something less than that? Where are people coming from? And there's a bunch of data that's available online that if you studied a little bit, you could look at that and say, "Hey, we need to improve this piece," or our chat died right at this 20-minute mark into our service. Everything just went quiet and we had nobody talking for 10 minutes in the chat room. And you find out what was going on in the service when that thing either was really compelling or it wasn't. We lost some people through there. So, you have chat logs, you have attendance logs, you have a bunch of metrics that are available with your streaming platform that's going to show up some things that if you study it for a little bit, I think some nuggets will come out and you'll be able to tune your online services better.
Yeah. And optimizing for the device that people are most using to watch your service is one of the biggest opportunities, I think, for everyone.
Right.
You may be, streaming in super HD and 80% of your audience is on an iPad or an iPhone, and you're totally missing it. They're not watching on an 80-inch television that super HD is made for. They're on a phone, and so you're probably making it difficult for them to watch, and it's definitely not optimized for them to watch. I think that's just so many tools and data that will help you make a better experience for church online.
And hopefully other providers do this, but we obviously provide that information for people, devices that they're watching on and all that stuff. So yeah, analyze the data. So I think as we wrap this up, the bottom line is this: the time and the energy that you put into this, you will reap the benefits. But if you don't put really any energy into it, if you don't put an investment of some time and some money, you're going to lose people. You're not going to really you're just going to have a mediocre online experience for people. And in today's competition, and I'll use the word competition because there's just so many different things out there that people could watch and do. So my closing point would be, be willing to put some time and invest some energy into this and some of these things that we've talked about, because really the bottom line is you want to reach people. You want to reach people for God. You want to help them connect with God and with each other. And that's where it's at today online. It's there. This is 2023, last time I looked. And, well, I mean, it seems like only a couple months ago it was 2022. Time is moving fast, but my point is tech is out there, and Jesus went to where his people were. The apostles went to where the people were, and people are online today. And so what you put into this, you'll get out of it.
And churches don't recognize this is the on-ramp to the church. I mean, Mike was talking about it earlier. This is where people are discovering you. This is where your new people are coming from. They'll attend online for a while before they'll come in person. So if you don't prioritize it, it's kind of like, we're turning off we're blocking the road to our church. There's no longer any traffic that is going to come to our church because we did this poorly, or we didn't emphasize it enough.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Good deal, guys. All right. Thanks for putting up with my shenanigans. We're out of time here. Hey, look at our blog. We got stuff like this and other things. Just go to blog.streamingchurch.tv. Do we have it so people could subscribe to the blog now? Do we know that? Did we ever fix that? We don't know. Everybody's
typically you don't subscribe to blogs. You subscribe to podcasts, but you visit blogs.
So you don't get notifications. Didn't we used to have a thing? All right. Never mind. No. I'm back in 1998 or something. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So subscribe to our podcast, Church Solutions Podcast, and visit our blog whenever you think about it. And really, we do this. I'm being goofy here again, but we do this to help you and to make things. Now that was your dog. That was not your wife, Mike, right? You muted yourself. Yeah. Now we can't hear you.
Yep. It really was my dog that time.
All right. Okay, good. I'm glad. And so I insulted your dog now as well. All right. Look, thanks, folks, for watching and listening, depending on what platform you're looking at this on. We really do appreciate it. And we hope that you get something out of these podcasts. And thank you for Michael and Steve's input today. I'm Phil Thompson. And thank you again for watching or listening to the Church Solutions Podcast. Stay tuned for another episode. Please take care of yourselves and each other. We'll catch you again next time on the Church Solutions Podcast.